Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed my first 4 videos from the Bath & Body Works White Barn Autumn 2013 collection. Of course, as we know, they're about 45 cents across 4 lines. The Pumpkin Collection, the Bath & Body Works Home Silverleaf Collection, the White Barn Woods, and the Fresh Picked line. I'm here today to review just one sort of straggler that I believe is a test scent that popped in to the White Barn Woods collection. And I wanted to give an in-depth review of this, just a single one in the video, but I do have a few candles you sort of see peeping in the background there that I'm going to try to compare it to, because again, it's hard to go on a brand new scent that doesn't have a whole lot of main notes to jump out at you. So again, this is currently in some test stores. The one I checked out, it was very limited, so I'm not sure if it will go wide or if it's a small test, but while they might have had 50 to 60 of some other candles, there were maybe 10 or 12 of these, so seems to be a small test. I kind of love the look of it though. It's got like a little bit of a reddish, a reddish kind of creamy, rusty wax, and just a really pretty sort of cornucopia image here. I'm going to get some focus for you. Yeah, it's kind of a low quality image, but it's got, a basket that has leaves and moss and grapes and wine goblets and just everything sort of bursting out. So Harvest Gathering, and you can actually see a place sitting there at a table. Harvest Gathering number 4, no idea where the number comes from. I think it's just a marketing thing, but that's fine. Now, when we first heard of this, we thought that it was, I think the notes were something like red apple, tart cranberry, and cinnamon bark or something. As it turns out, completely different though. The notes on it are actually gathered together to enjoy the richness of autumn with a blend of fresh pumpkin, warm harvest spices, and apples. So when you hear that, it's kind of like, wow, there's so much pumpkin in the other lines, there's so much apple and spices in the other lines. Where does this really fit in? Some people thought this might be like sort of a Yankee Home Sweet Home dupe, which if I smelled it, I would know it, but off the top of my head, I just think it's sort of like a super, super cinnamony, potpourri kind of classic home scent. This is not at all like that. It's really hard to describe. It's not a must-have. I don't love it. It would not surprise me at all if it doesn't make it out of tests. If it is, in fact, test, which I'm pretty sure. Just because it's not particularly unique, especially in comparison with the other candles, the other 40-some candles they've got out there. It doesn't scream pumpkin. It doesn't scream a certain mood. There are some spices, some apple, but it's not... No one's, the people who love bakery, the people who love fresh, the people who love woods, the people who love whatever, aren't going to say, oh my gosh, this is my candle, this is for people with my nose. None of those really. So it's kind of just there. It is a nice scent. I'll burn it. I certainly won't return it. I do like it, but if someone's going to buy 3 or 4 candles only, I can't imagine that this would be in the top 4 for them, which I feel like when they're doing the marketing, they kind of are going with, they want everyone to be a big seller for the most part. So, yeah, it's definitely, there are some spices there. Well, let's get into the comparisons, because I have 3 or 4 candles that it's sort of closest to, and I've got them here. Sort of a combo of bits and pieces of Spice Cider, Pumpkin Carving, and Blackberry Spice. Now I know Blackberry Spice may not be super helpful for a lot of folks because that's a new scent. But if you watched my Fresh Picked collection video, the 4th out of 4 from my most recent fall videos, it's kind of similar to Leaves, not as heavy and a little bit of a fruit to it, but think Leaves, and it's close enough to that. Now smelling this, I'm just going to basically take the lid from that and then the lid from each of these. They're strong enough. So the Spice Cider, let's look down here. It is not as... Now there are apples in Harvest Gathering, I believe. Let's make sure that I'm not lying to you. Yeah, and apples it says. The apple it seems closest to is the apple that's in Spice Cider. It's not nearly as spiced, which is interesting because it also says there are spices in it, but it's not... Yeah, it's much more subdued, a little warmer, kind of, even when you look at the wax, imagine that being the scent, whereas Spice Cider is that bright, intense, screaming red. This one's a little duller. So is the scent. So it's got a little bit of the apple and the cider. I don't want to say cider. The apple that's in spice cider and some of the spice that's in there, but not as intense. Then if we compare it to pumpkin carving again is the most authentic pumpkin in the line. Kind of has a little bit of that pumpkin pulp scent to it, a little bit authentic, almost earthiness. And now Harvest Gathering, which claims to have pumpkin, I would say it's very similar to pumpkin in that. There's not a lot of it though. I'll get into sort of like saying what I think the percentages are maybe at the end, but it's not predominantly pumpkin. I would say it's predominantly a mix of like some mulled spices and a little bit of fresh apple. Compare it again one more time to the pumpkin lid. Yeah, so it's not similar to pumpkin carving, but if there's pumpkin in there, there's a little bit of that sort of, not, I don't want to say dull or heavy, but like not bright pumpkin. So a little bit of a kind of, not even really creamy, because it's not like a vanilla or sweet or milky. It's just a little bit of an authentic pumpkin. And then finally Blackberry Spice, which again, similar I'd say in the family of leaves. Let's see. It actually might be most similar to this. I would almost even maybe say that Harvest Gathering, the apple in it might be a little bit similar to the apple crumble. Not nearly as sweet, no bakery whatsoever to it, and more spices, but kind of that apple a little bit. But let me compare again to Blackberry Spice. It's actually quite similar to Blackberry Spice. Blackberry Spice is a little more singular note, with it being spiced, a little golden woods almost in the Blackberry Spice, and some sort of berry, whereas Harvest Gathering, it's much duller. I almost have to, sorry to pull it out of frame here, but I actually have to smell the candle. Yeah, there's really, it's nice, but it's a little bit light. Yeah, it's not as intense, definitely not as intense as that Blackberry Spice. Yeah, so first sniff on this, I would say number one, it's got some spices. It's got sort of a generic fall fragrance to it, which I suppose is pumpkin, and there is apple to it. So the notes are accurate. I just don't know what they were thinking really coming out with this, because it's not exciting. Again, not particularly unique, not particularly exciting. I don't think it would be a big seller. The label and the name are both nice, and I think it will burn nice. It probably would be good for layering. It's almost got a tiny bit of like the dullness that the nutmeg and spice has, but it's not anything creamy or bright, or not bright, but that sort of heavy richness. There's no real richness to this. So, and I'd say outdoors versus indoors. It's more outdoors. Gosh, I'm like gonna pass out here trying to sniff deeply, but I really want to try to summarize it for you. But it's hard. It's really, yeah, I would say it's kind of spice cider with a little more pumpkin to it to bring it down a notch. And then a little bit of like that outdoorsy sort of leaves or Blackberry Spice fragrance. So, I mean, it's got a mix of good things in there. It's just not amazing. So, anyhow, yeah, that's basically reviewing that. If you have any questions about that, or if anyone sniffs it and has more to add, please do. I'd be happy to hear what other people think about it. And that's basically it. I think the only other one that I have not smelled yet that should be coming, the Elusive Pumpkin Woods. Although now, based on the notes on the bottom of this one, maybe this is the replacement of that. I really have no idea. Anything's possible with Bath & Body Works. So that's basically it, and until next time, take care.